Good morning. Today is too serious a day. Too serious a day and too serious a moment for pettiness. Today is too serious a day and too serious a moment. Much too serious a moment for unserious people. And we first need to know, in moments like this, where everybody stands. Not what you say, but where you stand. So let's make sure certain principles are stood by everyone in this party. First, that Israel has the absolute right and obligation to protect its territorial integrity and to protect the safety and security of every one of its people. Second, that Israel has the right and the obligation to take every military step necessary to eliminate Hamas as a threat tomorrow and every day beyond tomorrow. And third, that Israel continues to focus on the next enemy, who is the enemy today behind Hamas and behind Hezbollah. We must take every step necessary to isolate Iran and make them the pariah in the eyes of the world that we know they are. Those need to be the principles of this war and the principles of American support for Israel, and there cannot be a shed, not even a little, daylight between every credible American leader of both parties and those principles. But our problem is much, much bigger than the war that is going on right now in Israel. It is an American problem, a significant American problem. And it's a problem that has existed now for decades, but that people have been either unwilling to confront or are willingly ignoring. The anti-Semitism we see on American college campuses, for those of you who have been paying attention, and I am one of them, is not new. This did not happen in the last 3 weeks. This did not happen in the last 3 months or the last 3 years. This has been going on for decades. And while it's been going on, people have been willingly standing by and turning a blind eye to it. We know that they hide behind the falsity of free speech. There is a difference, everyone, between free speech and hate speech. There is a difference between free speech and violence. There is a difference between incitement and free speech. And what's going on in our college campuses today is not free speech. It is hate speech. What's going on our campuses today is inciting violence, is inciting fear. And we now know the impact it's having on our children. Not one Jewish child on one campus in America should have to worry about practicing their faith openly and aggressively. Not one Jewish child should have to worry about that. Not one Jewish child should have to worry about speaking out in support of Israel on their campus. Not one Jewish child. Not one Jewish child should have to worry about observing Rosh Hashanah or Yom Kippur openly on their campus. Not one. Not one Jewish child should have to hide in their dorm or their apartment because of fear of their safety or fear of ridicule. And yet, on college campuses all over this country, that is happening today, and it is happening with the acquiescence of university leadership all throughout this country. We have been here before, haven't we? We've been here before. This is not the first time that we've seen people expressing this and saying, as they observe it, it's not our problem. The world knew what was going on in Germany in the 1930s, and they said, it's not our problem. It's not as bad as you say. Yet we know that that disease spread throughout Europe and throughout the world and led to atrocities that none of us can even imagine, was permitted. Yet we know in our hearts and our minds that they were. It was isolationism, everyone. American isolationism that led to those excuses. It was isolationism from other nations around the world that allowed them to turn their backs on what we're seeing on college campuses in America today. So first, we must begin to fix our own problems inside our own borders. Everyone has a different definition of America first. My definition of it in this context is this: America must first fix the problem of anti-Semitism by standing up and saying, absolutely not on our campuses, not in our country, never, never again.